Hi. It's me, Katie, as a Lego. I know it doesn't look or sound like me, but I think it's pretty cool.
Hey, it's me, Becca, Lego style. And shut up. The only choices I had for a mini-me were Hillary Clinton, Queen Elizabeth, some tennis players, and a half-dressed punk chick.
We are doing fireside chats. Take it away, Becca.
Thanks. So life isn't too good for you at the moment. You're an 8-year-old child that lives in Oklahoma during the Great Depression. The year is 1937, and last Thursday, your father lost his job. Now it is Sunday, the 14th of November, and you're sitting down with your mother, father, younger sisters and grandparents, to crowd around a large radio set in your living room. These days, that's the focal point of your family. After the long silence that had spread across your usually loud family, the tension is broken by the sound of a matter-of-fact voice in a time of confusion. Franklin D. Roosevelt is brought into your living room by the box and is saying, "Nevertheless, as a nation we adopted the policy that no unemployed man or woman can be permitted to starve for lack of aid. That is still our policy. But the situation calls for a permanent cure, and not just a temporary one." This is his speech on the unemployment census. As if it was planned just for your family.
Fireside chat is the term used for FDR's public addresses during his presidency in the early 30s and 40s, though according to his principal speechwriter Judge Samuel Rosenman, he did the same thing back in 1929 during his first term as the governor of New York. He gave a total of 30 fireside chats during his presidency. The first was given on Sunday, March 12 of 1933, and the last on Monday, June 12 of 1944. Every president since his time in office has given a regular address. For example, everyone from Reagan on through the second George Bush gave weekly Saturday radio broadcasts, which were followed within the hour by a response from the opposing political party. In fact, FDR's fireside chats became the source of many political cartoons. Here is one of the political cartoons of the times. And here are some of the more recent political cartoons. And, my favorite.
The radio talks were used to calm worries, inform the general population, and to gain public support as well. He did so, receiving mail in large numbers after each given fireside chat. He thought this quite important, using the letters to determine opinions on his policies as well as to quote, whenever going up against political and press opponents. Often beginning with, "Good evening, friends," Roosevelt dumbed down the confusing political talk and spoke to the citizens as one of their own. The terms "we" and "are" used frequently throughout his chats. The man understood the crisis, or at least seemed to when he spoke over the radio, and honestly wanted to help and improve things. What better way to do so than inform the general public, or at least all who owned a working radio at the time, about matters that involved them, and giving a bit of helpful advice for this time of need. Roosevelt seemed to understand the benefits, and the necessary worries, that needed to be applied to his chats.
People who create commercials must keep in mind that they have less than a minute to catch your attention. FDR had to use the same basic principle. People could shut him up with just a turn of a knob. As such, his addresses became less lengthy, or, at other times, were separated into 2 chats. All addresses were given a main concept, and scheduling had to be thought of. Last-minute requests for longer time were bothers to the stations, as Roosevelt figured out early on. During his time as president, FDR held pride in his choice of radio as an outlet. In his chat on April 10 he said he had gone to radio to help the voters upstate, particularly in those districts where they have no daily newspapers, to keep them constantly informed, to understand just what had been done.
Whether your father gained his job back, or acquired another or not, one thing was for sure, the president knew. Maybe not that your father specifically was unemployed, but he knew that it was a problem. Over the crackly radio in your family living room, he spoke on that very issue, and you knew he cared.
Bibliography time.